Mr. Pond Boss, tell me what to do to make all my Lunker Lake dreams come true.
Hello everybody, Bob Lust, the Pond Boss, coming at you live from right here on the shores of the Brazos River at LL, 3. You can see my Pond Boss sign right there. Can't wait to hang that thing up. I keep figuring that's going to happen pretty quick, but it hasn't yet. So hey, I skipped last week. I had a pretty good reason, I guess. I had come down with the COVID. Been able to avoid that dadgum disease for 2.5 years, but somehow it wrapped me around the throat, and here we go. So, and then, you know, I tested positive a week ago last Monday, but I was feeling pretty good by Wednesday, although just kind of fatigued, you know, on the backside of it, I was thinking. But then Debbie got it, so there was no way I was going to go live and not be there to help take care of it. Plus we had a house full of grandkids. So that was a treat. Hello, John Funk, James Allen, good to see you guys. John Funk got rain. Well, dude, good for you. We haven't seen rain here in 57 days. So I am 67, and I can remember, at least in my adult life, 3 similar summers as to what we're having right now. La Nina, look that up, off the Peruvian coast, is really hitting us pretty hard because the jet stream kind of tracks north. It still does what it does, you know, messing with the high pressure systems, letting low pressure systems come up, moisture from the Gulf, but it doesn't condense over us right now. So anyway, hello Larry Hardesty, good to see you. First time you've seen us live. Sweet. You got a 1-acre pond in Springfield, Alabama. Upper LAL. Mike Cottrell, need lots of rain. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you guys are in some fire hazards up there. Well, anyway, I'm going to knock out this COVID thing real quick. My throat's a little raspy. I don't know how long it's going to last because I haven't tried to talk much, but we'll see how it goes. And really tonight, I got a couple of topics, but what I'm really hoping is that you guys can throw some questions at me and I can tackle that. So anyway, the COVID thing, on that Saturday night, I went to bed. I was a little bit groggy and knocked off about 9 o'clock, fell asleep. Went to sleep in my lounge chair, my lazy boy. And with my mouth wide open, like so. And I woke up at midnight. And man, my throat was totally dry. Had a little bit of a sore throat, but I figured it's because my throat was dry, which it probably was. So I went to bed, woke up the next morning, and I had just a little bit of a cough on Sunday. Didn't think much about it. I figured, well, it's because I fell asleep in my lazy boy. Woke up, my throat was dry. And so got about 2/3 of the way through Sunday, and I thought something doesn't seem right. So I knocked off a little bit early. We had a house full of grandkids. Had 5 grandkids we had cupcake camp and golf camp. That's what we had. And so on Monday, I woke up, man, I had a mild fever, and I had a deeper cough, congestion in my bronchial area. I thought, oh crap, this isn't right. So I hustled down to the pharmacy, got a test, came back, tested positive. Well, for the last 2 years, pretty much, I have taken every day, and I would advise this of you guys, vitamin E. No, not vitamin E. Vitamin D3. That's what it is. Vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C. Debbie has me on some other vitamins and things, probiotics, stuff like that, 3 omegas. But the zinc and the D3 and the C were the big deals. So one of the things I remember my physician told me was to gargle with Listerine and to use a nasal spray. Because when COVID attacks, it comes into your soft, moist tissues in your nose and in your throat. So I immediately started doing that, and I firmly believe that helped keep it from moving farther down into my into my lungs. So I did that 4 times a day, Flonase at night. And I am firmly convinced that kept that disease from really hammering me harder because it never got into my lungs. So I feel pretty fortunate about that. Plus, this variant seems to be not quite as bad as the Omicron was. Steve Scanlon, you see it. Justin, I look healthy. Actually, I feel pretty good. For somebody that's morbidly obese and 67 years old, I feel amazing. So, little throat lubricant. Water. Hey, Scott, good to see you, buddy. Hello, Kim Moore, Todd Austin, Kevin Briggs. I'm doing good, buddy. Steve Scanlon, I tested positive for being a pondaholic. That's pretty good. I love it, man. Justin, thanks for the prayers. And I pray, and I believe that God answers prayers. I don't know that He always answers the prayers we ask, but I do believe He answers prayers. You guys know the drill. Hashtag Pond Boss Magazine in the comments section. Click like or do the little heart thingy somewhere and share this to your timeline. You're eligible for a drawing for a Pond Boss hat and whatever else that Leanne's got. So, we'll see how long my throat lasts. Jim Allen says there's no cure for being a pondaholic. He's right. Okay, so we'll see how this works. I don't know. I haven't tried talking much. Let's see. Jim Allen, the inlet of our lake is 31 degrees C, conductivity 270, pH 8.5, alkalinity 110, O2 is 11.4. You had me tell that 11.4. When your water temperature is 31 degrees, the water's affinity saturation levels are right around 80 to 85%, which usually keeps it around 7 to 8 parts per million. Lots of scum, small algae bloom, and it looks awful. Tons of zooplankton and bugs in the water. Yeah, that's really, really typical right now. Tons of fry in the milfoil. That's good. Any thoughts on what this means for the lake? The rest of the lake is beautiful, perhaps lots of dilution. I'll tell you what that means. That means it's in its midsummer doldrums, and the plankton is doing what it does this time of year. It's feeding zooplankton, which feeds the little bitty fish that are going to grow up to be bigger fish. There was, like, part of this COVID thing is a cough. So, when I hear about milfoil, it's either native milfoil or Eurasian water milfoil. That Eurasian water milfoil tends to peak out about now because it doesn't really like hot weather. So there's not one thing in there that doesn't sound normal to me, Jim. The O2 sounds high, but I'll tell you what that is. It just hit me what that is. If you're checking oxygen levels late in the afternoon at the peak of photosynthesis, I can see how the oxygen levels could be at 11.4, which is pretty close to supersaturation, which I've seen that over and over and over. Your hardest eat was basically for livestock. Fished it several times, got a few. Been watching your videos. I plan on culling some of the small bass that are underweight. Added 200 brim back first of the year. I believe my bass ate them. Maybe not, but all have been feeding just a floating catfish bait. And I don't see anything eating it. Once I take some bass out, is there anything that can be done to help the small brim survive? Maybe adding structure. Okay. Yep. All right. Let me attack that right quick, Larry. I know that you were queued up last week, and I chose not to do the show. But let me tell you, here's how I see that. If you've got the best water, so if your water's got the right plankton bloom and it's healthy for those young of the year brim, and you're culling bass so that you don't have too many bass overeating the fry, and you've got the perfect food chain for those fry, which is going to be fish food and plankton, then your survival rates are going to go up. Is there anything you can do to help the brim survive? Yeah, add a little bit more cover and don't take out the aquatic plants. The aquatic plants actually give them places to hide. So I would not do that. So keep the water moving, keep it happy. Provide the best habitat for fry, which is dense structure, dense cover, which in most ponds is aquatic plant life. And then if you cull the bass that are eating those babies, then your survival rates of babies is going to go up. Okay, Jim, no, you know what? It dawned on me. If you will check that oxygen early in the morning, I think you'll see a little different reading. Okay, let's see here. Larry says, also the pond has mulch. I'm not sure what that is, except I think maybe muck. Well, we'll see how this works, boys and girls. He says, I don't need an aeration. Well, I tell you, the local extension service guys, I don't know who Norm Haley is, but he says you don't need an aeration system. Seems the more I read, the more confused I get. Okay, you know what? R.E. Thompson, 83 freaking years old, mows 8 yards several times a week, goes fishing, works on his motorcycle. His wife just had her 80th birthday, except I shouldn't say that. He's going to pray for my recovery for Pond Boss. I love that. That's great. Larry, here's the thing. When somebody tells you you don't need an aeration system, that's typically because they don't know what they're talking about. In order for a pond to thrive, you got to have the best water you can have. If you've got, when you say mulch, I'm going to presume that's muck. The extension service offices, when they say you don't need an aeration system, okay, let me help unconfuse you. If your water isn't healthy and the water isn't happy, nothing else makes any difference. Yeah, here we go. So, I haven't talked much in the last week, so I figured this was going to happen. So, I do think the aeration system is worthy of looking at to decide if you need it or not. I love extension service guys. I love fisheries biologists. It's just that we all have our different opinions. My opinion is this. If you don't have good, healthy water, nothing else matters. So if an aeration system is what you need to make the water healthy, then look at getting an aeration system. Now, how do you know that? How do you know if your water's healthy? Check the visibility. Compare the temperature. If your visibility is less than 18 inches this time of year, water's probably not healthy. Whether it's because it's mucky, muddy, or turbid with green plankton. I don't know if I'm going to make it to 7 o'clock, guys. Hello, Ian. Danny Mac, the other day I looked at the tropical oscillation model when we get convective weather. Possibly not wet period. Yeah, you know what? I mean, I've watched La Nina and El Nino since 1980. And about every 10 to 12 to 15 years, we get this kind of summer. And we're due for it. And I can, Danny Mac, I see exactly what you're saying. You know, I can see where, unless we get some kind of a tropical system, that it could be October, November before we get any substantial rainfall. So, James Allen, Jim says there's a small pond below our lake filled with watermeal. How is that treated other than filtering? That's a good candidate for Floridone. Although this is the wrong time of year for that. Watermeal is the smallest aquatic plant that I've ever heard of. It looks like cornmeal floating on top of the water. So and it reproduces exponentially. 2 become 4, 4 become 8, etc. So I think the best way to take that out is with Fluoridone. Okay, Scott, buying 258 10-inch tiger bass. Whew. Hope I'm not offending you. I'm offending myself. Buying 258 10 tiger bass, 90% of the bass are 2 to 3 pounds on our 22-acre lake. Will some of the tiger bass probably get eaten? If so, what percent do you think? I'd have to buy more if so. Should I stock more shad when I have the tiger bass to keep the tiger bass from being eaten? I would stock more shad before the tiger bass. But those 8 to 10-inch tiger bass, if you're, when you say 90% of your bass are 2 to 3 pounds, as long as you're somewhere at and below carrying capacity, your survival rate's going to be pretty high. So I would never say no to adding more shad. Let me see if I can give a better answer for that. You know what? When you stock fish, even when you're going to stock 8 to 10-inch tiger bass, you're always going to have some attrition. However, I don't know your lake that well. As a matter of fact, I don't know it at all. So out of that 250 tiger bass, if 60 of them make it to 10 pounds, you did pretty good. You did pretty good. All right. R.E. Thompson, I don't know what happened. What's the answer to your Facebook challenge? Only if your voice holds out. The Facebook challenge, that film was, what that guy did, what Jason did was he added pond dye, started an aeration system, and what he did basically was to cut off the ultraviolet rays penetration from the sun into the water, which that caused a die-off of his plankton. So whatever insects were there hatched, the plankton died, and then it all floated up in the form of a film and then headed to the shoreline. So that's what happened there. It's perfectly normal for this time of year if you do that sort of thing. Oh boy, I'm not going to do this much longer. I can see that coming. Hello, Leah Grooms. Dave Weber needs some F1s. Okay. Danny Mack, I start up 2 reciprocating sprinklers. Scum is knocked out. There you go. James says, I vote to let the Pond Boss go rest. Well, Pond Boss is going to second that motion. So I need to get the water tested. If so, where? Then consider aeration. I want to grow some nice brimming bass. My voice is not going to make it, as you can tell. So, hey, Larry, send me an email, BobLusk@Outlook.com. I will send you a form to fill out, and then you send that. And then that'll help you get your water tested. You know what? I think I am. I really want to do this, but my throat's telling me no. So, I'm going to wrap up. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I see we got a pretty good crowd. So, I'm going to go ahead and cut out and quit for the day. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Adios.